Lay down. All right. I'm going to be feeding Moose treats throughout this video to make sure that he stays quiet. Challenge number 23, mindful eating. Have you ever done any of the following? Taken a bite of food before finishing the chewing process and then swallowing your current bite? Ate while watching the news, ate at your desk while you worked, ate while scrolling through social media, ate while watching YouTube, ate while driving. That one is the worst. Ate while, I don't know, fill in the blank. There's a lot of ate whiles. These are all examples of things that could, and in many cases do, cause us stress, therefore putting us in a state of fight or flight. Maybe you have heard of it. The fight or flight hormone is our body's way of responding to danger or a life-threatening situation. This response was essential for the survival of our species because way back in the day, when being eaten by a saber-toothed tiger was an actual cause of death, I literally couldn't think of anything worse. The fight or flight response enabled humans to respond quickly to that sound of a twig snapping in the forest while all of us dirty, hairy, stinky people ate by the cave around the fire. This hormone was and is essential for survival. Today, though, instead of a saber-toothed tiger, it can help in situations like jumping out of the way of an oncoming car, fighting off or running from an assailant, fighting a fire, stuff like that. However, life-threatening situations are not the only things that activate the fight or flight hormone, also known as the stress hormone. The stress hormone can be pumped into our bloodstream due to things like work pressure, the news, social media, family difficulties, traffic jams, societal pressures, the weather, and so on. Over time, repeated activation of the fight or flight response, aka the stress hormone, can take a toll on our health. In fact, according to Harvard Medical School, last I checked, they knew a thing or two over there at Harvard. Research suggests that chronic stress causes brain changes that may contribute to anxiety, depression, addiction, and a bunch of other health problems. In other words, it's no good. So, unless absolutely necessary, we want to avoid the urge to fight or flee for our lives, especially while eating. Instead, we want to be resting and digesting. Ah, yes. Cool, calm, and collected, rest and digest. When we are resting and digesting, we are actually healing and regenerating. It's super cool. The body performs activities like digesting, go figure, detoxifying, and strengthening our immune system. Our stress hormones need to be low in order to enter a state of rest and digest, which is exactly what I'm trying to accomplish with this week's challenge, which has nothing to do with what I eat and has everything to do with how I eat it. In order to enter a state of rest and digest while eating, I'm going to eliminate distractions and slow down the process of eating. For 5 meals, that's right, just 5 meals, we can do this. I'm going to eat mindfully by putting away the technology. I know that one always scares people, including me. And then following these 5 steps. Step number 1, take a bite of food. Step number 2, put down my utensil or put down the food. Nobody uses a utensil when they're eating a hamburger, so put that burger down. Step number 3, chew. Chew that bite thoroughly. It's okay. Take your time. This takes longer than you think. Step 4, swallow. I know, go figure. Step 5, breathe. As a matter of fact, it's probably best to take a few breaths. And then it's okay to pick your fork back up and take another bite. Repeat steps 1 through 5 until you finish your meal. By eliminating technology, that first part of the challenge, that part that scares the shit out of everybody, oh my God, I gotta put my phone away. I'm avoiding stressors, including, but of course not limited to, work, news, social media, the big 3. It also allows me to focus thoroughly on steps 1 through 5, which will take more effort than you might think. Trust me, they are going to be difficult. At least they are for me. By doing things like putting down the food between bites, chewing slowly and thoroughly, and breathing, I can pay attention to how full I am and stop eating before I'm uncomfortable, which can help to reduce calories throughout the day. I can be mindful of what I am eating, where it comes from, and the process of how it came to be on my fork. It can be interesting. Do you know where your food came from? What farm it grew on, or where it was raised? How many hands it passed through before it got to you? What trucks it drove on? What planes it flew on? Was it frozen? How much energy did it require? What is it doing to the environment? Stuff like that. It's pretty interesting and important. And the more thoroughly chewed food makes it easier for the intestines to absorb the nutrients, which is how we survive and digest the food. Remember that modifications are cool. You don't necessarily have to do this one as written, or any of them for that matter. Life is flexible. We need to be flexible. If you did this challenge for one meal, I would consider that a victory. This one could not be more simple. Put away the screens, pay attention to what I'm eating, chew my food thoroughly, and breathe. Bon appetit.